Hey, good morning. So I wanted to do more today with castles and crowns. Crowns. um, yeah, I want to do heritage and lineage. I haven't really touched on that too much. I started last night, and I worked on both the DeepHall, Sable, and Bright Fay lineages. Well, two are heritage, one's a lineage. And I also wanted to do a little bit with AI and Chat GPT to show you how sometimes, if you need to find answers for certain things, um, you really need to get used to using those tools, right? And I used them a little bit last night to help out in setting this up, just to kind of do some research on how to figure this out. And it was really the first time I had to use it for um, you know, with setting this up in Foundry. But really, Chat GPT has really become my replacement for Google. For so many years, decades, you would just Google it. That's what people would say. Now I just go to AI instead. And to be honest, even if you Google it these days, the first thing that comes up on your Google search is, the AI search of what AI found, right? So, um, I just want to show you some of the things that it can do to help you with setting up your Foundry, um, and we'll go from there, right? So I'm going to attack this. I did three of these. I did like I said, wrong direction. I did DeepHall, I did Sable, and then I did Bright Fay. I'm going to go in the opposite direction. I'm going to show you Bright Fay first and what we did there for lineage. And then I'll go to Sable and I'll do the DeepHall last because that was the trickiest. Yes, my Apple Watch is talking to me. Let's go with Bright Fay first. So Bright Fay is pretty straightforward. So just to start with, as you can see, as I talked about before, I created a compendium as a module, under a module, so that way the work I do here, I can easily move over to other adventures. Go look at my previous videos if you want to see how to set that up. So really when you're looking at heritage and lineage, it's very similar to what we did with subclasses and classes, right? You'll see here there's an overarching, um, the lineage here is kind of like the subclass that we did before, right? Where you have unlock it, or again, you can go here and you could say, what do you want to set up? And then you can just figure out what level you want to set it up at and so forth. The difference is with lineage and heritage, you get everything immediately as opposed for subclasses, you get it at different levels, right? So this, in that sense, it's a little easier. And otherwise, you're doing the same thing. You're creating a feature, right? So if I go, what if I go? If I go to, um, but if I go here and say create item, for example, for a second, right? You're simply going to create a lineage, give it the name, right? And then you can say what folder it's in, and it will create something that looks like this. It's not going to show the features here. It's just going to show, the size of the creature, of the person, right? You can put your text in the descriptions, and that's an easy cut and paste from your PDF file. I'm just simply lifting various text out of the PDF and putting it into Foundry. And then for the features, it's the exact same thing you did with subclasses. You're creating features, right? So again, you're just going to sit here and now you're going to say it's a new feature. You give it a name. Now these features for lineage was really easy, right? These were not really things that you can create something that's easy for uh, Foundry to automate, right? So it's saying, okay, well, you have advantage against saves, against being charmed, and magic can't put you to sleep, right? There's no easy way to code that, so to speak, within Foundry. You just got to know that as the player, and then you got to tell the DM, when he's trying to shoot or a sleep spell at you, for example, that poo on you doesn't work on me, right? So really, for these, it was just a matter of creating a feature. I flagged it as a lineage trait and told it, which lineage it was for, Bright Fey in this case, and copy pasted the text out of the PDF, right, directly into the feature itself. And then I saved it and I removed the edit. There's nothing here in details. There's nothing here in advancement. No problem. And then in the Bright Fey lineage, I had to simply create features, right, which is going to look like this. And I say level any because it's going to be any, doesn't matter, right? You don't get it at 3rd level or 10th level. It's you just get it, right? And then you're simply drag and dropping the features for Bright Fey into your Bright Fey features. Feels circular, but that's what you're doing, and you're done. So, this was a really easy one to set up. It's just a matter of lifting text out of the various parts of the PDF and putting them in here, and you're done. For heritage, it's simple. It's similar. Let's do Sable first. Right now, for Sable, so for this, you're getting some languages because it's your heritage. Whoops, Sable's down here. My bad. I was skipping ahead a little bit. All right, so again, you're getting some languages. You're getting some proficiencies on tools and proficiencies on other skills, right? So again, it's very similar. So when you create Sable, again, similar like what we just showed before, when you're going to go here and say create new item, now you're going to say create heritage, give it the name. You're going to get something that looks like this. I lifted, I don't think I put it in the description. All right, I'll have to lift this. In fact, I'll do it now. There. The spacing's a bit off, but I'll look at it later when I get into the thing. I should go here. So as before, my other videos, sometimes you got to fiddle with the spacing slightly just because of the difference between PDF and copying and pasting it in here. You get some funky characters, you get some tabs and some other stuff. You just got to take it out. All right, so when you create that new feature, right, similarly, it's just going to be languages here. And then you'll have to add the features section, like we showed before, features, right? And then again, it's going to be dragging and dropping your features into the Sable features into the features section for Sable. Okay, so languages, easy enough. You just got to pick which language you want them to get. So if you notice, you get you got to set this up for. Whoop. There we go. You got to set this up for Common, Elvish, and one language of your choice, right? And what's nice is when you fill out this section here for languages, is it will auto generate the hint. So hopefully this text here, if I take away Elvish, see it took away Elvish from here. So as you're playing with this, hopefully the text that you see in the hint is going to identically match pretty much what you have in Elven Kingdoms, right, on your PDF. So it was Common, Elvish, and one other language. So what you got to do is here is you see there's a little radio button here and one here. So what happens is when this is highlighted, right, as it's picked, that this is where when you set this up for what is guaranteed that you're going to get, and obviously you're always going to get Common and Elvish. That's what the text said. And then you got to choose any language. So when you come down here and pick highlight that, then the thing on the left will switch and it will show you every language. I guess if you really wanted to be crazy about, well, not be crazy about it, you could uncheck Common and Elvish here, just because, just because, right? Because you already got it, right? Why would you take it a second time? I'm going to keep it as any language, just in case, potentially other languages are added in the future. Hopefully, they would automatically become a something selected here. I'm not sure what would happen if I unchecked any language and then started filling with it. That maybe you wouldn't get everything. So I'm just going to leave that be and just say any language, and assuming the player is smart enough not to take a language that he already picked. But that's how this right side works. It's basically showing you what you're editing on the left side. So that's pretty easy. By the same token, if you look at Sage's gift, right, you're going to get skills of your choice of Arcana, History, Medicine, Nature, and Religion. And the this cantrip, Prestidigitation. So this is going to go under advancement. And for your skills, it's going to look very similar to what we did with languages, right? Only it's showing skills, right? So again, nothing here is guaranteed in this case. You're just choosing 2 from those 4. So this is going to be obviously blank. And then for the spell, right, you just create this. And again, these are created. Just hit the little plus up here. And you can pick either spells or skills, which are somewhere here. Boop, doop, boop, doop, boo. Features. Probably choose features, I guess. I'm not sure. Man, my brain just went there. You'll It's probably traits. It's probably traits. I take it back. Oh no, this is spells. Juggling guy. There's no juggling guy. It's probably traits. Let's just click it and see what happens in a second. Hold on. But anyway, for spells, all you have to do for spells, that's easy to pick, is you just simply have to drag and drop the spell into this section. So you're just going to go into your spells for TOV and find press, and then you're simply dragging that into here and no problem. Right, if I wanted to do skills again, just out of curiosity. Man, how come when I do this at night, I always know what I'm doing? I must not be awake in the morning. It's probably this one. It says proficiencies. Yeah, there you go. Right, so you can see here, I could say this is what skills you want, and you can switch it to something else. So that's what I did. Boop. Okay. And again, simple enough. Once you've created it, drag and drop it, like I showed before, into here, and you're set. So again, very similar, not very difficult. Spend a little time. It's pretty straightforward. All right, so now the fun one. The fun one was DeepHall. So, and this is where we're going to get into Chat GPT in a second. So if you look at DeepHall for dwarves, you can see he gets these things here. So you get archaic knowledge, diplomatic knack, and the languages, right? So we've seen very similar things, right? If I pull up DeepHall for a second. So setting up the language is just the same thing we just said a second ago, right? You just got to pick the languages just like we did a second. You're going to get Common and Dwarvish guaranteed, and then one additional language, no problem. Diplomatic skill, you gain proficiency in persuasion, And then, in addition, if you fail persuasion check, you can re-roll and use a new result. Blah 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 blah. So that's going to be something we can kind of sort of program, right? So if you look at Deep Knack, right, all I'm doing here is giving the persuasion skill, and that's it. Um, if you want to re-roll the check and have to track number of times equal to your proficiency bonus, that's something that the player is going to have to do on his own, right? There's no way to set up those counters easily and then go and do those checks. Um, Not worth your time, trouble, and effort, right? I mean, how many times are you going to fail a persuasion check? I mean, I guess obviously it could happen, but on a day-to-day basis, you're not going to do it. The player's just going to have to know that one and tell the DM, hey, I got the skill, I get to re-roll it. If it actually gets to the point where you have to re-roll persuasion like 3 or 4 times before a long rest, sure. Hopefully, you'll figure that out. Probably the DM alarm will go off in his brain to say, wow, you use that skill a lot. Is there a limit on it? And you'll figure that out. The archaic knowledge is something a little bit funkier, where it says, okay, you gain proficiency in history and either with the artist tools or navigator tools. And then you have to double your ability check with one of those tools. Okay, so getting the history skill and picking the tool is the exact same thing we're doing this whole video, where basically you are going to, instead of picking languages or you're picking skills, you can pick tools the same way. So it's the same deal. But how do we double the the bonus for the set of tools that you picked? That gets a little funky because I mean, not as easy to set up. And to be honest, when I try to do it, like if you look at, for example, let's go back to Diplomatic Knack for a second and look under skills. Right, there is a mode here that has expertise, force expertise, and upgrade. And you can fiddle with that so that if I wanted, for example, for persuasion, right, if I said I want to force, I want to do expertise, it will say you gain expertise in a trait that you already have proficiency. Okay, that's fine. For forced, you get something similar. Um, I thought of a different way of doing it. Maybe I could try it later. This gets you to be able to gain expertise in a trait you already had previous your proficiency level. I'm going to put it back to default. I think I could do this. Well, I'll try it in a second. But the problem is when you have multiple things in your list here, right? So if I had persuasion and I had some other things to pick down here, then I would think that what it's going to do is it's going to force you to get double proficiency in everything. So probably what I really wanted to do was to maybe go in here and create one set of proficiency for, if I bring back this for a second, maybe is I should have had one feature just to give history and then have another feature which would have given you this artist and navigator tools and then you double your PB. I'm going to try that right in a few seconds, but I'm going to show you what I did first as a workaround. So I was kind of, again, this is middle of the night, so how do you go and figure this out if you have questions about how Foundry works? So I went to ChatGPT. So As a side rule, and I'm sure if people at Global Press is looking at this, they'll throw some stones at me potentially. But um, you know, I know using AI is always a bit of controversy in today. Today, AI is a tool like any other tool, and it's here. It's going to stay. It's going to be part of our lives, right? I fully understand that if you're an artist, right, you shouldn't be using AI for art, right? You should be paying the artist for their work as opposed to an AI bot taking samples of a bunch of people's work, smashing them together, and making something new. Like, I understand that. I kind of think it's inevitable as time goes on and AI gets better that it'll be able to make something fairly original or original enough that you're really not going to know what was taken from different people's art. But we're not quite there yet. So until that inevitable day, I think, happens, you should be paying that artist. You should not be using AI for that. And, you know, it's not fair to the person with the original content. But here I'm doing something else. One of the big things that AI can do for you is, AI is just figuring out, is just really smart at figuring out language, right? And in the end, whether you're writing code or anything else, that's just language as well. So in this case, I went to ChatGPT and said, hey, in Tales of the Valiant, name me some heritages that give double proficiency bonus. My idea here was I wanted to see how someone else set this up in some other class, subclass, feature, whatever it might be, because there are so many darn classes and subclasses out there, and things that have tweaked for Tales of the Valiant that are different than 5e. I don't know them don't know them all off the top of my head. So I was trying to get an idea of what else was out there that I could then make this the same as, right? So it gave me some ideas. It said, hey, for there's this Pine's Psychon heritage and a trade skills talent that allows you to do a double. And, you know, again, like these are things that are being scanned just like you're scanning for Googling, right? There's bots out there that are putting this in here. Like it got this information direct from Global Press, right? Like if I click on this, open a new tab, ChatGPT is just pulling the data from their website, right? Now, this one doesn't help me because this one probably isn't programmed anywhere in Foundry, but, it's pulling from things like this. So, I mean, as long as, someday, and it's inevitable, right, that like this one here came from, someone's website, right? This what do you know? What do I know? Junior.com, and they wrote about, reviewed, Tales of the Valiant, and it lifted some stuff out of this, right, to make its thing. So really, in the end, when you're doing this AI, it's just a better Google in some ways, and allows you to go and search the internet in a faster, more concise way than before. So I was looking at this trade skills talent. It didn't really give me exactly what I needed potentially, but I think what I can do here, and I'll just go through what I did here. So when you says, hey, this is what I'm giving you. Do you want it? Are you interested in other details? I'm like, give me an example with a set of tools. And so it gave me an example with an artisan with Smith's tools. Again, this is all just from information it's scanned the internet for. I asked for any other examples, and it kind of gave me like this aim, guard, and quick strike stuff. But even then, it says it doesn't directly double DP, your bonus, but etc. So as I was digging around, I wasn't finding exactly what I needed. Um, Eventually, I asked it directly, and you can do this, right? You can do this because eventually it kind of like dawned on me that I was kind of beating around the bush in the questions I was asking the AI, and I'm like, duh, like, let me just ask it how to do it in Foundry. So now I'm like, how would you set up Foundry to VTT to double your bonus, right? And one thing about Chat GPT, which a Google search wouldn't know, is that it's when you have these threads, it is keeping your prior conversation in its mind, just like you're talking to a person, right? So it knows that I've been quizzing it on Foundry. So when I asked this question, or I was asking about Tales of the Valiant. I'm sorry, I was asking for Tales of the Valiant. Um, it tried to give me an answer with Tales of the Valiant in mind, right? Because it knows the prior stuff uh, that of your conversation, and it knows that context. Now, even that, Tales of the Valiant, since it's not as popular as 5e, right? Sometimes these answers are going to have a 5e slant to it. As more and more stuff is thrown on the internet, as more people write, do videos, etc., on the internet about Tales of the Valiant, ChatGPT is going to pull more information in. You might get more better answers. And that's what I was kind of seeing here. It gave me this one here. It said option one. Just go into your tool and say add this to the bonus field, and you're done. It gave you this setup where you're trying to. This might double. I think you are doing a new feature, double tools, description. So again, it's trying to do this where you add this prof bonus. But this might be a 5e answer. And now I'm really curious. And then over here you have one that is using MIDI QOL. I'm not even sure if that works with Tales of the Valiant yet, or if it doesn't, if it's going to. So that's not really, I don't think, an option. But what I did once I saw this, I'm like, well, that's pretty simple for the player to do. I simply, for my archaic knowledge, I just did this. I just cut and pasted that part of the screen using Snip, right? I made the trait here to say give the dude history, and also give it this choice of doing artist tools or navigator. Ooh, this is forced expertise. Oh, it worked? No, it didn't. See, I think it's going to give it to both, and I don't want it to do that. I got to give that to. I got to give that. I got to make that default. And what I think I need to do here, but you can see what I did here, right? Is that once, assuming that was default for a second, boop, did it keep? It did. Okay, interesting. And then I go over here and I simply give it the instructions on how to double the bonus for your tool. Go edit the tool, put this into the bonus field, done. But I'm kind of wondering if I did something slightly different. Unlock this. And do this. Let's call this test for a second. And put it under there. And if I do this, and this is a heritage, this is for DeepHall. I don't care about that. Give me advancement. I want to do this. And just for giggles, make it forced expertise. Getting expertise in a trait regardless of your previous proficiency bonus. So I do that, and I add a choice set here, and I go to tools, and just for giggles, let's make it Thieves Tools. Let's see if that does what I want. So if I do that for a second, sure. Sure. Edit. Test. See what this does. Create actor. I already got a Bob. Yeah, call him Bob too. I want to go here. I just want to choose a heritage. I want to choose DeepHall for a second. Let me select this. All right, gave me the thieves tools. I don't care about the language. Let's go back. Yeah, there you go. So it gave me the double proficiency on thieves tools, whereas it gave me this normal proficiency for artist tools. So that would have done it even better. There you go. I figured it out on the video. So what I really want to do here is I want to go back to my here. So, I figured it out. I don't have to tell people to do this anymore, right? So what I really need to do is, I'll do that in a second. So I want to take out, go here for a second. Let me go into test. Let me unlock this, trash this, yes. And then I want to go and I want to say advancement. And I want to say traits. And then I want to say add choice set. And I want it to be tools. And I want it to be a choose one of artist and navigator. And I want to default this to expertise. And that will be fine. So if I do that, and I don't want to call this, I'm going to call this archaic knowledge part 2. I just need to separate those two out, and I'm fine. So now this one will give the expertise to the character, right? And I need to edit this. I need to take this out. So I put them side by side for a second. Well, yeah, that's fine. So what I'm basically just trying to do is saying this is what you get normal proficiency for, and this is what you're going to get double proficiency for. And I think I'm good. So I just had to divide and conquer. Keep that. Keep that. I'm going to take this out. Make that, close that. And then, now you got to be careful. So one thing you want to make sure of is that this, from a technical point of view, you're not getting inheritance. From a non-technical point of view, just because I switch it here does not mean it's switched over here. So when you drag and drop something into your classes and subclasses or features or heritage, it is essentially taking a copy of that particular feature, what have you, weapon, whatever it might be, and putting it into the character sheet. And if you edit the original item, it does not carry over to all of the copy paste that you did, or all of the children, if you want to think of it that way in a technical sense. So what I really have to do is I have to edit this. And it says test here, but it doesn't say test here. I don't care. I'm going to delete this and do that. So just in general, if you're doing that copy paste over there, it's interesting that it switched the name in one place and not the other place. Basically delete it and then add it is my recommendation. And that should be good. So let's do that. Let's do that. And I'll do it again just to be sure. create actor, Bob 3. I'm not going to say why I name my people Bob. It's after a Prince song. That I liked years ago. So I've got my blah, 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 blah. I got skills. I got persuasion. I got to choose artist tools. I get a choice of two. I'm going to go with navigator. And then if I do that and I return back to here, it still works. So I've got my history, I got my persuasion, and I got my double on navigator tools. Yes. Okay, so good. So two things. I found a way to, I learned something new here while doing the video on the fly. Yay me. But I still think it's important that if you have questions about Foundry, don't feel bad about asking something like ChatGPT, because it's going to come up with answers from the internet faster than you Googling it. It is a better search. That's what it comes down to. And I mean I even asked it here. Like, it's interesting. Like, if you really get into coding, and I presume if you're someone who codes, you already know this. If not, you better. But like, you can go into here and, like, for example, it was blah 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 blah, and it was saying, hey, do you want me to generate a JSON file that you can import into Foundry for this feature? Now this was for, I think, 5e, or maybe, well, it said using the 5e system, so I don't think it was really working. But just out of curiosity, I asked it to generate it anyway, just in case I needed it. So when I said, sure, give me the JSON code, it generated JSON code for me for trying to do this double thing, right? So that was another way that I guess I could have figured it out, but I didn't go down that road. But these things will do that for you. AI in general. And if you're a coder, I mean, there's all kinds of things. Like when I was trying to figure out, for example, from a previous video, the whatchamacallit, the exporting into the PDF. Thank you. I had to change gears. Exporting to the PDF, and I was trying to figure out the JavaScript to try and set that up. There was times I was looking at prior examples, and I was throwing those examples into ChatGPT and saying, what the hell is this piece of code doing? And it would tell me. So keep that all in mind. So yes, I think we got a couple of things here. I did some heritage and some lineage, and good luck. But this wasn't too bad. I mean, it's a little bit more harder than the spells, but I did the first three. Now that I'm getting going, I think I can do the rest of these pretty quick, within the day. So that's it. Hope you have a good day.